Hello, what's going on? This is Doug Cunnington, and welcome to The Doug Show. In this episode, I'm going to talk about some of the back-end stuff for my business. So Nathan sent in a question about like my processes and my procedures and filing system and how I keep track of income and expenses and all the different moving parts. So I will talk about that. And before I do, I just want to point out that if you're new to the podcast, thanks a lot for listening. I highly encourage you to check out nichesiteproject.com. Click the green button. You can sign up for the email list. I send you like all my templates and processes and procedures and a lot of details out there. Funny enough, I don't mention anything about these back-end systems because frankly, it's a little boring and, I'm no expert in it. I can tell you, and I will tell you about some of the things that I've done and what I do now. But I'm not like an accountant or bookkeeping expert by any means. So check out nichesiteproject.com. A lot of helpful resources, and maybe you'll have some time when you get to the office. Actually, maybe you're at the office now, but a lot of times people listen while they're commuting in their car. Maybe you're at the gym or you're doing some stuff around the house. I actually listen to a lot of podcasts as I'm doing some housework or vacuuming, stuff like that. So you could be at a spot right now where you can't check it out, but just remember nichesiteproject.com. So before we get into the meat of the episode, I am not in my normal recording studio today, which is actually just my closet. I'm in my niece's bedroom. So she's at school today and I'm visiting family in Pennsylvania, which is it's pretty nice here, kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's quiet, very quiet. But I'm in this room, which is huge. And my niece is like 4. So this room's huge. There's toys everywhere. There's toys all over the floor. There seems to be a little tent over there. I think she has a queen size bed. So yeah, it's a little crazy in here, but it's very quiet in this room and a little behind the scenes action. I have some other family here as well. But I've tried to record this like 3 times. I messed up a couple times. My dad walked in to ask me a question and we'll see if we can get this rolling. 3rd time is a charm. And funny thing with Pennsylvania is the alcohol and beer laws. So I didn't read too much, but whenever I go traveling and visiting family or whatever, whenever I'm in a new town, I try and, get some local beers, see what's going on. When I'm in another region, like I am, right now in Pennsylvania, there's just like tons of breweries where, they don't make it to the Colorado Front Range. And, maybe I've had them in the past, but it's pretty cool to get like different beers. So again, I don't know all the laws around here, but they do have beer and I guess other alcohol at the grocery store, which is a convenient place to get beer, because you're going grocery shopping. But you cannot buy beer at the same register that you're buying food. And like I said, I didn't do research on this. This is how I ended up buying the beer. So people from Pennsylvania, you could send me an email, feedback@doug.show. Let me know the actual laws or what you got to do. But basically, they had a pretty good beer selection at the grocery store, but I had to buy it at the deli counter where you buy like sandwiches and hot food and stuff like that. And you could only buy, I think it was like 148 or 192 ounces of beer. So I went to the register. I was going to get a 12-pack, a 6-pack, and another 4-pack. And I didn't do the math. And actually, I didn't know that there was that per ounce limit for transactions, right? So I could buy 192 ounces and I could buy the 12-pack, but then I couldn't get anything else on top of that. So maybe that's, I didn't do the math. I didn't do the math either. So anyway, she said, okay, you can't buy any more alcohol in this transaction, but if you take this off site, put in your car or whatever, then you could buy more beer. And they get your license and look at it and they scan it. So I was a little confused because I literally like got the beer, took it to the cart around the corner, and then came back and bought more beer. So they're not really enforcing anything. I mean, what seems like I could buy as much beer as I want, even though they know exactly what I just purchased. By the way, for the people that care, I bought, it was, what's the name of the brewery? It is Trogs, right? So I visited this brewery. I think it's in Hershey. Really good food, excellent beer, really great tap house and brewery there. So I got the triple from Trogs. So that's like a caged in corked Belgian triple. I got their sampler pack, which is really nice. They have a Doppelbock, which is called the Troganator, also very good. It's sort of the like November timeframe when I'm recording this. So a nice dark Doppelbock was hitting the spot, really good. And then a very local brewery around here, they had like a New England IPA. Forget the name of the brewery, something with tracks, some kind of railroad or something like that. But they had a New England IPA that my brother-in-law recommended. So got that. Anyway, alcohol laws are very weird. And people out there, you may be thinking, that's totally bananas. And what I've found, I've lived in Georgia, I've lived in Montana, Colorado, visited all 50 states, and there are some weird laws out there. So for many, many, many years in Georgia, you couldn't buy alcohol on Sundays. Kind of strange. And I think even currently you can't get alcohol at a restaurant you can't get alcohol before 12:30 p.m. on Sundays. Kind of strange. It's not like I'm thinking, hey, I really want to go get some breakfast and a bunch of alcohol, but it's kind of strange because some people do get mimosas or have a beer when they're watching, football games or something like that on a Sunday. So some other weird laws in Montana, at a brewery, you can only get 48 ounces per day. And they give you a little card and they keep track of like how many pints you get. And breweries close at 8 p.m. So you can only have 3 beers and they close at 8 p.m. Yet you can go to other restaurants or bars or whatever and keep drinking until the middle of the night. And very strange laws, but it's all driven by money and politics. And you have distributors, you have bars, you have breweries. Everyone in every state seems to have like a different power structure and what they're trying to do. Anyway, we're getting deep into alcohol politics, which is not the topic of today. So let's get to this back-end business processes and all that stuff that Nathan asked about. So when I first started my very first site, I was just doing it on the side. I, paid for hosting, the domain name, and a couple other details like that straight from my, personal credit card or checking account. I don't remember which one, probably credit card. I use credit cards a lot since a lot of times you end up, earning points just from normal usage. So I typically use credit cards and, I didn't think much of it as far as like how to structure things, right? It was just enough for me to like start the website and worry about all the details there. Further, I wasn't thinking, hey, when I start making money, I really need to pay close attention to that for taxes and blah, blah, blah. So when I got paid, I think I got paid out directly to my personal PayPal account or a check written directly to me. So I didn't have a business or anything like that. In fact, I didn't start my company until I think it was like 2016 or something like that. So I had been working online for 3+ years, earning a pretty significant amount of money, and I had no business, right? So that is one thing that I guess I'm glad that I didn't worry about all the details because I'm a planner. I like to try and structure things properly at the beginning. But one thing that I realized is like, there's a lot of details that I like just don't understand. And it was more important for me to like get started with the website, get started doing the actual work to make money. Like there's no real point in me trying to like figure out how to structure a company for growth or where I think it could go before I've made like one dime, you know? So I was like, you know, I'm not going to worry about any of this stuff. Well, we'll get to some of those details, but yeah, I was just like, I'm going to start the site, I'm going to get things going, and then we'll figure it out later when it's really, you know, beneficial to figure out how to solve these problems. There's no need for me to solve the problems before I actually hit them. With that in mind, I did realize one thing that would make things much easier, and that is to have like a separate bank account and a separate credit card. Now, the cool thing is I had a credit card that I rarely used. So I wasn't using it very much, and I started using it solely for business purposes, even though it was just a personal credit card that now that I'm thinking about it, I got that account in college. Or I started that account in college. So, I mean, it's just a credit card that I used a bunch for years. It was just sitting there unused for a while. And then I knew that it would be much easier to do any sort of accounting work and bookkeeping if the account was separate. Similar, right? I also had a very sparsely used savings account. I can't remember if it was savings or checking, but maybe it was a savings account where I can create like sub accounts. So I just put the money that I was earning into a separate account. So it's not impossible to, you know, use your own personal account and your own personal credit card that you are using for other things. But the issue is you have to go line by line for every line item, every transaction, and separate it as personal or business, which just takes some time. Now, it's not hard to do. It's pretty mindless, but it just takes some time. It's tedious, and it's easy to make a mistake like that. But if you have like a separate account, super easy. So if that's the only tip that you get from this episode, that will save you a lot of time. Like I said, it's very easy to make a mistake if you're looking like line by line and manually assigning like personal or business type expense or income. Separate accounts makes it super easy. You probably know it is very easy to get a credit card or open an account or whatever. And a lot of times you'll get like a promo. So for example, I think I have like a Chase account and some other accounts out there actually, but you usually can open an account and get some sort of a, $200 bonus after 6 months or $300. So look out for deals like that. And for like credit cards, you almost always can find a pretty decent like point system. Now, I don't recommend you like go in debt or like don't pay off your credit card fully every single month. That's just no way to run a business. But basically, if you're using the credit card anyway, you'll end up earning points for whatever you want to do with it. And every credit card company does it differently. I'm no expert in it, but I'm just like earning points. And I think the last few vacations that we've gone on, we haven't like paid anything out of our pocket. We're like, oh, we have whatever, $1,000 in credit card points. So we'll just do whatever we're going to do and then use the credit card points. Yeah, you can redeem them in different capacities or whatever, but I don't have a strong interest in doing that, jumping through those hoops. So we just do what we're going to do and then just use the credit card points. So little tip there. And I don't know, usually it's like 1% or 1.5% or something like that. If your credit card company is running some kind of promo, you may earn like extra points when you buy gas or groceries or something like that. So far we have the tip of like using separate accounts. So moving forward, I'll just explain a little bit about like the different areas of my business, because it's fairly complex, compared to like what it was at the beginning. So I have my affiliate marketing like side of the business. So these are niche sites. Typically, they're earning from Amazon Associates and potentially from like Amazon Associates UK, other programs out there. Canada is another big one for me. And of course, the US makes up the majority of the earnings for that side of the business. Roughly half the business, something like that. Maybe a little bit more, depending on, what's going on and what month it is and all that kind of thing. But roughly half the business, Amazon Associate. Then there's another piece of the business which falls into a few different areas. So you have like Niche Site Project, and then the umbrella of Niche Site Project has a couple courses. It has like affiliate sales of its own. Those are like products that I recommend, or hosting companies that I recommend, that sort of thing. And non-Amazon affiliate. So just affiliate offers out there. And then there's like the podcast and YouTube. So there's income and there's expenses for every single like little piece there. And like I said, it makes it much easier to just have these separate accounts. Now, once I formed the business in, like I said, 2016, 2017, something like that, I was like, okay, now that I have a business, I can get my like tax, like my business tax number. So that's the EIN. And with that, you can open accounts, like business accounts with, credit card companies, banks, and whatever. At that point, you have the business, you got money coming in, you have money going out. So as far as bookkeeping, I use an app called Wave. It's free. Back when I first got started and I was making some money, my wife was like, "Oh, how can I help? Like, what can I do?" So she helped in various areas, and one of them was the bookkeeping. So she researched like different apps to use and different ways to like keep track of the bookkeeping, which it honestly can be as simple as like using spreadsheets. So spreadsheets still make up a decent portion of like how I'm managing things. And I do my own bookkeeping. You can pay people to do bookkeeping, and it's a fairly straightforward exercise. They probably, know how to use like other pieces of software, but I'll just mention Wave's free, at least the portion that I use, and it does the job. There are a lot of other apps out there, think like FreshBooks and Xero, and like it's a commodity, right? You can just find one. Generally, they're all going to work pretty well. They're all going to work like close to the same, and they're not going to be super expensive. I'm still using Wave because it was free, when my wife found it, and that was a good option, at the time. And I'm still using it because I have all my data in there, and it's just I've learned how to use it, and it's been improved, and there have been some upgrades over time. So Wave is fine for a free option, and there's a lot of interfaces, right? So you can interface with different banks and your credit card company and PayPal and blah, 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 right? So most all of the apps out there for bookkeeping are going to hook up and just pull data in, right? So it makes it much easier to manage like what's going on. Now, you may be thinking, Doug, you're making so much money. Why are you doing your own bookkeeping? So one reason is going through your income and expenses every single month really keeps you like connected on where you're spending money. And I do that bookkeeping monthly. Number one, because my wife she's like on top of it. She wants it done monthly. And she got into that habit. I got into the habit, and it doesn't take as long as it used to, right? So I'm pretty good at it, pretty efficient at this point. Now, technically, right, if you're working for yourself or you're making enough money, you'll be paying quarterly taxes, right? So technically, I don't have to do the bookkeeping every single month. I could do it quarterly. However, you don't have a good handle on like the P&L numbers and what's going on in your business if you're doing it quarterly. So there's a few reasons, and like it keeps me really at a point where I understand expenses. So I'll leave it at that. Totally up to you if you want to do your own bookkeeping or not. And at the point where you hire someone to do the bookkeeping, you would maybe just get the numbers at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, however often you're having that done. And then you'd have to go back and look at, all of the spreadsheets and all the transactions and blah, blah, blah. At that point, it's a little overwhelming. You may kind of like lose track on like what areas are spending a lot and areas where maybe you're making more money than you expected. So anyway, it keeps me like close to the details, which I enjoy. And as I've like gotten better and the tools have gotten better, the bookkeeping, it takes me like 1 hour per month, something like that. It doesn't take very long. I pull a CSV from PayPal for all the transactions there, of which, for me is a lot. So I do my payment processing through PayPal. So people that are in my course or buy something from me, it's through PayPal. So there are typically, hundreds of transactions in PayPal each month. Pretty easy for me to, group them together and then identify them and place them in the right bucket. Really quick. Like I said, only about an hour per month. It really doesn't take that much time. And as I'm thinking about it, if I got a report from a bookkeeper each month, I imagine it would take me an hour to kind of go through the details anyway, but I'm doing it myself. So I'm processing it all at the same time. You can imagine after I've done this many, many times, I am pretty quick at it. In Nathan's question, he asked about, working with other affiliate partners and, understanding like the reporting on that end. So like affiliate solutions are pretty crappy. Some of them are okay, but what happens is, companies work through different affiliate systems. So I have a couple of affiliates for my courses, and I use a WordPress plugin called, I think it's like Affiliate WP or WP Affiliate, and it mostly works fine. But just me, I'm using that, and then I know some of my affiliate offers out there, they may manage it through a similar tool that, they are the, tech person for it. So it's a WordPress plugin or something. Some other companies are out there, Share a Sale. Now I can't think of others. I can't think of the names, but there are several other like affiliate marketplaces out there and management systems. I think Zaxa is one of them. And when it comes down to it, it's actually a little hard to keep track of because there are so many. Oh, I have a couple of, some of the offers are through like Teachable or, other learning platforms like that. And they have their in-house affiliate programs. So the bigger companies like Teachable, those are pretty solid, right? Like I could log in, dashboard's very clear. There's not too many like settings. It's all managed by a huge team. Those work really well. But now that I'm thinking about it, there's probably 10 different affiliate programs that I work with and get paid from on a regular basis. Every single hosting company seems to be using like a different affiliate management system, usually in-house. So at that point, I just kind of, trust that everyone's operating honestly and, no weird things are happening in the software. I know when I have affiliates helping me out in selling, I've actually had some trouble with the software. So I ended up pulling the reports, but I also like look things up manually and have found like one or two like mistakes where my affiliates were not going to get paid via the system. So I let them know, hey, for whatever reason, the software missed crediting you, and here's the extra, and here's the transaction that was missed, and I'm staying on top of it. So I think that gives those affiliates that are working with me confidence that I am on top of it, and I just don't accept what the software is putting out. And there was an incident recently where I'm an affiliate for a product, and there were I think there were about 10 or 12 payouts that they owed me, but it was being missed, and we don't know why. But basically, I knew the person well. I've known this guy for years, and I was like, hey, just have a look at the reports, and let me know what you think. It looks like you owe me some money. And he was like, hey, sorry about the delay, and he just paid me. So Nathan, this is definitely an area where it gets a little fuzzy, because you kind of have to keep track of it. Now, it's easy enough to manage by, keeping a list of the affiliate companies that you need to, check up on, or affiliate marketplaces, or whatever it is. And just, once a quarter, something like that, have a quick look at the integrated dashboard. So every one of the tools, even the WordPress affiliate plugin that I use, there's a pretty nice dashboard with reporting, and you can see, how many prospects and leads you sent to the affiliate offer, how many purchased, and your affiliate payout, and all those details. So it would be as simple as, periodically setting a reminder, going to check all those affiliate offers out there, and then making sure that you're being paid. Now, I'm typically paid through PayPal or a direct deposit, so it's pretty straightforward. Like, whenever I get paid, I just see it in my normal income reporting, and that's totally fine. As far as any affiliate payouts that I do, again, I'm paying out from PayPal, so it just shows up as an expense over on the PayPal side, which comes into the Wave software via, the report from PayPal. So very straightforward. I don't have to, keep too close of an eye on that stuff. I just get paid, and, that works out well. Let's see if there's any other details. As far as like filing system or anything like that, I use Google Docs primarily, and throw everything into like different buckets, but, Google's a good search engine. So if I ever need to find anything, I could just like search for whatever I'm looking for there. Further, for any of the accounting stuff that I need to, pull reports for, PayPal has all those transactions logged. I can pull reports, fairly sophisticated reports for, any of the like credit card or checking or savings accounts or anything like that. Same deal. Like, all the transactions are very closely like tracked. So very easy to filter on a specific set of dates, run other searches, and then pull the reports however I need them, which typically is going to be a CSV, because then I can manipulate the data in a spreadsheet or import that data into, Wave or whatever I need to do. Like I said, Wave or other bookkeeping software, they're going to integrate with the financial companies. So you typically are not going to have to import anything unless there's some kind of weird situation going on. So I think that covers like the main things that I do. When I formed the company, I realized that the taxes are getting a little bit more complicated. When you form the company, you get a little bit of an advantage, at least here in the US, and I think other countries are going to be similar, in that I save a little bit of money on like payroll taxes. And my terminology may be a little bit off for, frankly, this whole discussion here, but basically for some of the payroll stuff, I save a little bit of money by forming the company. The cost is that I also have to pay some payroll taxes through the company, which I technically could do myself, but as soon as I was going to have to like file business taxes and my personal taxes and all that stuff, I was like, okay, at least for this year, like, I don't know what to do. And I think I understand how to do this, but I'm just not sure, because there was a blend of like sole proprietorship, which is how I classified the business up until when I formed the company. And then after that, it was, corporation or LLC or whatever business you end up forming, right? Check with your state. That's usually who you form the business with, as far as I know. And then after that, that's how the taxes are paid and all the payroll taxes. So anyway, I hired an accountant to do my taxes for me and to do the quarterly like tax payments and payroll. And by the way, before I hired the accountant, I was paying quarterly taxes because of the amount of income that I was earning. So I needed to pay ahead, and I was self-employed, right? So even though it was a sole proprietorship, I had to pay quarterly taxes. Now, yeah, again, check with an accountant, but if you don't pay quarterly taxes, you may have to pay some penalties, which may or may not be significant. In my little situation, like I knew that if I accidentally underpaid a little bit, it probably was going to be, a couple $100 max of a penalty. So not a huge issue there if I underpaid a little bit. So yeah, check with an accountant. And so I have an accounting company working with me. Someone could do my bookkeeping there, but I wanted to hang on to that. They do my taxes for me. And like when I moved from Montana to Colorado, they, helped me set up the unemployment taxes and other things that I needed to do in Colorado. So they set it up in Montana. When I first got rolling, they moved things over to Colorado. So the accountants know like the right forms to use and, the contact folks and things to set up. You can figure it out yourself. And for a little while, actually, even when I moved to Colorado, I tried to set up some of the like business structures that I needed and transfer the company and blah, blah, blah. But I ended up making some mistakes. Even honestly, after I talked to a lawyer, they fucked it up too, and gave me some bad advice. So, there's a lot. And the sad part is it was a lawyer who did specialize in like business structures and legal entities and stuff like that. And I guess I brought him something that was a little bit different that he hadn't done before. So I used the wrong form a couple times, and that ended up costing me few $100 to like retract the like forms that I submitted and then submit new ones. So anyway, consult a professional. If you know one, pay some money and, get that expert advice. Hopefully you can get like a personal recommendation from someone that has like done this sort of, work before, so that you don't end up in that situation that I just described. We'll start winding down here. So number one tip is to have separate accounts, and I think like a separate checking account and a separate credit card account would be super, super helpful. I think when you're just starting out, just having like a separate credit card will help you like identify the transactions for personal and business a little bit more easily. And that is very easy to do. Just get a new credit card. And, there's a good chance when you're first starting, you're going to have expenses, but no income. So you could wait just a bit before you set up your new checking account, but that should be, fairly straightforward. And probably you're not going to have a ton of transactions on your personal account as you're starting to earn. So maybe wait until you earn like $500 or something. Then you can, deposit that money into your new checking account, which, it may not be technically a business account, but that's okay. I mean, if you're not earning a huge amount of money yet, there's no point in setting up a company yet. And that is maybe the second point is don't worry about like, all right, I need to form a corporation. And, when I got started, I remember just people talking about, hey, I got to form the company. I got to figure out the company name. I have to make sure it's not an existing company that's trademarked or any kind of, I guess like copyright violation or anything like that, where you're taking some other name that you shouldn't. And then you're trying to set up all these business structures when you haven't even earned any money yet. So just pump the brakes a little bit, and you can figure out how to solve those problems when it'll actually be like a benefit to you. So like I said, I didn't form my company until I was like, oh, I'm making enough, and I'm going to be making more and more. Things are growing significantly, and I can see that I'm paying, whatever 6% more in taxes than I need to because of the way my sole proprietorship is structured currently. So once it was an apparent problem, I was like, okay, let's solve that problem. So don't get ahead of yourself. And, otherwise, this is really similar to other approaches that I've mentioned before. Keep things simple. If you can run things with a spreadsheet, do that for as long as you can, and you can make it more complicated later. So the spreadsheet system is what my wife did when she first started the bookkeeping before she moved over to the Wave app. And basically, it's, the easiest thing to do is pull CSV reports from all of the, income and expense accounts that exist out there, put them into one spreadsheet, and then you can classify them however you need to, and then, manipulate the data, filter things so that you know how much you earn that month. And it's very easy to see, how much you spent that month. So a spreadsheet is the simplest solution. It's not necessarily hard or difficult to set up one of the bookkeeping applications, but it is an expenditure, right? So even if it's small, right, you would be paying, $10 a month or whatever it costs to use one of those apps, but you also have to integrate that to your checking account, your credit card, and all that stuff. So it's not necessarily going to be hard, but whenever you're integrating different, systems together, issues can arise. So I know when I was trying to link up, a couple of the accounts, I had a little bit of trouble sometimes, or I had to, send in a request to, hook them up, or I don't remember exactly, but the whole point is keep things simple. You can always make it more complicated later, but as you're getting started, don't try to automate everything all at once. There's some value, I believe, to do things manually so you see what's going on. If you're trying to automate things before you understand how everything works together, then you may end up, setting things up in a way that isn't awesome, right? So maybe you're thinking, hey, I'm going to save time by automating. And at the end of the day, it actually isn't as good as you thought it was going to be because you didn't have all the information when you set things up. So I think that covers it. Let me know if you like these sort of very in the weeds episodes. I think we've beat this one into the ground a little bit, and I don't know if I want to talk about any more bookkeeping or accounting stuff. I don't even know what else I would talk about since I'm obviously barely functional. I can do what I need to do, but I don't know how to help anybody else specifically. But yeah, let me know if you like these sort of behind the scenes, really deep in the details kind of topics. By the way, if you also want to be featured, you can send an email to feedback@doug.show. You can ask me a question there, and we've been getting in some great voicemails as well. There's a voicemail number in the show notes, so you can leave a voicemail. It's ideal to be around 90 seconds. I highly recommend you write out your question, what you want to ask, the context and stuff like that. Read it out loud, time yourself, make sure it's around that 90-second mark. There's a 3-minute limit. So if you go over 3 minutes, it'll cut you off in the middle. And then you'll be a little frustrated, probably a little confused about what you should do next. So time yourself, write it out. And then it's okay if it sounds like you're reading it, but chances are you'll be able to, do a really good job since you're planning ahead. So thanks for listening to the show, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to The Doug Show. I really do appreciate it. I'm just sitting here at my computer recording stuff, and you're listening to it, and I think that's awesome. If you enjoy the show and you know someone who maybe would be interested in it, please let them know. I think it would be fantastic if you help spread the word. If you are not signed up for the Niche Site Project email list, well, you're in luck. All you have to do is go to nichesiteproject.com, click the green button, enter your name and email address, and I'll send you a bunch of cool stuff about affiliate marketing, productivity, including all my templates. If you happen to not be subscribed to this podcast, please do subscribe, and don't forget, I welcome your questions. So you could send your emails to feedback@doug.show. I got that really cool domain, doug.show, that's it. So feedback@doug.show, or I'm going to leave my voicemail number in the show notes. So all you have to do is give me a buzz, leave a voicemail, and then I'll potentially put you on the air. So looking forward to it, and we'll catch you next time.